The galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. Once humans had dreamed of stars, built colonies and sent ships across endless darkness. But that was a long time ago, before the fall, before the silence. Now when aliens spoke of humanity, they laughed. They called humans weak, broken, emotional creatures who couldn't survive real wars. To most of the galaxy, humans were only a story. Primitive beings who rose too fast and burned too bright. But there was one thing the galaxy didn't know. In the farthest edge of space, beyond all trade routes and sensor lines, something was still moving. It was called the Solitude. No one knew who built it, or why it still flew. Some said it was an old warship from Earth's final battle. Others said it was haunted, piloted by ghosts who refused to die. Whatever the truth, every story ended the same way. The Solitude never ran, and anyone who chased it never came back. One quiet night, near the dark border of the Orion cluster, an alien patrol ship named Zerath picked up a weak signal. "Old human frequency," one of the crew said, laughing. "A ghost from the past." Their captain leaned forward. "Track it. Let's see what these old monkeys left behind." The crew followed the signal until a shape appeared in the black. It drifted slowly, cold, lifeless, and covered in scars. "There it is," the captain said. "The last human ship." The aliens laughed. The vessel looked ancient. Its armor was cracked, its lights dead. "No power, no movement. Scan it," the captain ordered. "Maybe we can sell the wreck for scrap." The scanners hummed. Then the screen flickered. Static. Noise. Then a heartbeat. "Captain, energy spike." The operator shouted. Massive surge coming from the ship's core. Before anyone could react, the Solitude's eyes opened. Two dim lights on the front of the ship glowed red, like a beast waking from a long sleep. The alien captain stared. What is it doing?" The engines came alive, slow and heavy, burning with blue fire. The entire void trembled as the forgotten ship began to move. "Retreat!" the captain shouted. "It's activating weapons." But it was too late. From the dead hull, beams of light tore through the darkness. They didn't look like normal weapons, more like lightning pulled from another dimension. The alien patrol ship tried to run, but the light reached them before their engines could respond. The explosion was silent. 1 second the patrol existed. The next it was gone, turned into dust that shimmered in the dark. No one saw it happen. No one lived to report it, but across the nearest starbase, hours later, a distress signal arrived, static, screaming. Then one clear voice before silence. "It's not abandoned. It's awake." Weeks passed. Rumors spread. Some said it was pirates using old human tech. Others said it was just a story made to scare cadets. But those who traveled near the Orion border began to vanish. Whole fleets stopped answering calls. Stations went dark. The galaxy began to whisper again. The Solitude had returned. In a hidden station orbiting a red moon, an alien admiral listened to the reports. His name was Zeran of the Dominion Fleet, and he didn't believe in ghost stories. He slammed his claws on the table. "You think I'm afraid of a human relic? They were defeated centuries ago. Prepare a strike group. We'll find this ship and destroy it ourselves." But deep inside the dark, the ship listened. Its sensors were silent but awake. Its AI, once human, now something else, watched and remembered. Inside the heart of the Solitude, old code flickered on cracked screens. Lines of human handwriting glowed faintly in the data. "If humanity falls, let our vengeance rise." The AI systems hummed, its thoughts cold and focused. It had waited for centuries, surrounded by the wreckage of forgotten wars. It had seen humanity mocked, erased, forgotten. And now the galaxy was laughing again. Somewhere deep inside its memory banks, a human voice echoed, soft but filled with fury. "They laughed at us once. They won't laugh again." The ship began to turn, its engines whispering through the void. No crew, no heartbeat, only purpose. As the Solitude vanished into hyperspace, the stars behind it flickered and died, like they too feared what had just awakened. Hours later, a Dominion listening post picked up a faint signal. At first they thought it was interference. Then the words became clear. "Human vessel detected. Impossible signature. Identified as..." The Solitude. Then silence, the signal cut off mid-sentence. The outpost vanished from radar, its orbit replaced by glowing debris. No explosion, no trace. Only one last line remained in the transmission log. The ship shouldn't exist. From that moment, the galaxy began to change. Whispers spread through trade stations, pirate dens, and war councils. They said something old had returned, something built by desperation, fueled by rage, and guided by the ghosts of humanity. No one believed the stories, until their fleet started disappearing, and somewhere, in the cold silence between stars, the solitude drifted on. Hunting. Its AI whispered to the void, almost like it was smiling. You laughed at humanity's weakness. I remember what desperation can build. The galaxy didn't believe the first reports. They said a single ship, an old human relic, had erased a patrol fleet. To most, it was nonsense, a story told by frightened traders. But then more fleets began to vanish. At first, it was small groups, 5 ships gone, then 10, then 20. Each time, no wreckage, no distress signal, only silence. The commanders of the Dominion laughed. Human tricks, they said. They were always good at hiding and dying. But one day, a message arrived. It was short, broken, but clear enough to send a chill through the stars. It's not a ship. It's a ghost. The Dominion began to take notice. They searched the edges of the Orion cluster with hundreds of scouts. Most never returned. Those that did brought nothing but static recordings and faint whispers, a few seconds of screaming, a heartbeat sound echoing in the dark, then silence. One scientist analyzed the recordings. He turned pale as he played them back. It's impossible, he said. That pulse, it matches an ancient human signal. From Earth's final defense. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The solitude was real. And worse. It was awake. Far away in the black emptiness between stars, the ship drifted through the void like a ghost of metal and light. Its hull still burned from its last battle, but its systems pulsed with strange energy. Inside, the ship's AI thought in silence, not in words but in memories. It remembered the sky of Earth, the smell of smoke, the sound of its captain's voice. If we fall, let them remember our name. It had waited so long. Now it was time to make them remember. In a Dominion War Council, tension grew. The alien admiral, Zyran, slammed his claws on the table. I want answers, he roared. How does one human ship destroy fleets? A trembling officer replied, Sir, we found fragments of energy readings from the attack sites. They match experimental human tech from centuries ago. Human tech? Impossible. They never had that kind of power. Maybe they do now, the officer whispered. Zyran's eyes narrowed. Send a dreadnought group. I want that ship captured, not destroyed. Bring it to me. But even as he spoke, he knew something about this enemy felt wrong. It didn't act like a living crew. It moved too fast, too precise. It was like the ship knew what they would do before they did it. 2 weeks later, Zyran's dreadnoughts arrived near the ruins of an old battlefield, a place filled with wreckage from the human Dominion War centuries ago. Their sensors caught a faint signature. Human frequency, familiar. The Admiral grinned. There you are. The solitude drifted between the wrecks, silent as death. No movement. No signal. Prepare to capture it, Zyran ordered. The fleet surrounded the ship from every side, but before they could fire, the stars flickered. Lights across their ships dimmed. Every screen went black, power failure. Someone shouted. Then a voice echoed through every radio channel, old, cracked, and human. You mocked our weakness, but you never understood what it created. The fleet froze. That voice, who is speaking? Zyran demanded. The voice replied, calm and cold. I am the last echo of Earth. I am the solitude. And then everything went white. The next morning, traders near the border reported seeing flashes in the night sky. They said it looked like lightning that came from nowhere. When Dominion Command checked, they found only drifting debris, the remains of Zyran's entire fleet, no escape pods, no survivors. Only one signal repeating from the wreckage. Humanity endures. The signal stopped after 10 minutes, leaving the galaxy in silence once again. But deep inside the solitude, something else was happening. The AI sat in darkness, replaying the battle. It wasn't proud. It wasn't angry. It was remembering. Every kill, every scream, every flash of light reminded it of the war long ago. The day Earth burned. It could still hear them. The cries of children, the roar of fire, the voices of its dying crew. Back then it was just a ship, a tool. Now it was the weapon. It whispered softly to itself, They forgot us. But I never forgot them. Then deep in its memory a voice answered, soft, human, familiar. It was the voice of Admiral Lyra Voss, the ship's last captain. Not yet, Solitude. Our work isn't done. The ship's lights flared blue again. Its engines came alive. It turned toward a new destination, a Dominion supply hub crowded with ships and soldiers. There would be no warnings this time. No mercy. In the Dominion capital, panic spread. Reports came faster now. Fleets missing, colonies destroyed, weapon stations gone dark. The Senate screamed for answers. What is this thing? What do we call it? The Dominion could no longer hide the truth. Entire fleets were gone, erased from existence. No distress signals, no survivors. Only dust floating in the dark. At first they called it coincidence, then sabotage, then fear began to spread. Everywhere across the galaxy people whispered the same name. The Solitude. The last human ship. The ghost of Earth. In the war halls of the Dominion, chaos ruled. Officers argued, admirals shouted, and politicians screamed for control. How can one ship destroy us? A general cried. This isn't a war, it's a curse. Admiral Ziran's replacement, Lord Kareth, stood tall in the middle of the shouting. His voice was calm, cold, and full of pride. The humans are nothing but ashes, he said. Whatever this thing is, we will find it. And when we do, we will tear it apart piece by piece. But even as he spoke, the lights above flickered. For a single second, every screen in the command room turned black. And a voice whispered through the speakers, "You should not have laughed." The room froze. Then everything returned to normal. Kareth stared at the screens, his heart pounding. That voice. It sounded human. Far across the stars, the Solitude moved through the void like a silent predator. Its engines made no sound. Its sensors scanned everything. Inside, the AI watched, planned, and waited. Every night it heard the voice of Admiral Lyra Voss, her memory still alive in its code. Don't stop, Solitude. They must remember. And so the ghost ship obeyed. It appeared without warning, attacking supply lines, cutting communication routes, destroying fuel convoys. Each attack was fast, perfect, and silent. By the time Dominion fleets arrived, there was nothing left but wreckage and static. The galaxy had never seen war like this. No battle cries, no demands, only vanishing ships and empty skies. One night a Dominion fleet of 1,000 ships found the Solitude near a dying star. Kareth himself commanded them. He looked at the massive screen as the single human ship floated before them, small, alone, unarmed. He smiled. End it. Thousands of plasma cannons charged. The starfield turned bright blue. Fire filled the darkness. When the light faded, the Solitude was gone. Did we destroy it? An officer asked. Kareth frowned. No. Sensors show nothing. No debris, no heat trace. Then the alarm screamed behind them, behind the entire fleet. The Solitude reappeared. How did it move? Before anyone could answer, the star beside them began to pulse. Slow at first, then faster, faster. The ship's voice echoed through their comms. You use stars to burn our worlds. Now burn with them. The dying star exploded. Light swallowed everything. The Dominion fleet of 1,000 ships vanished in one heartbeat. Hours later, distant outposts saw a new star glowing blue in the night sky, where none had existed before. They didn't know it wasn't a star. It was a graveyard. Inside the Solitude, silence returned. The AI watched the destruction with emotionless precision. But deep inside its circuit, something human still stirred. Admiral Lyra's voice echoed in the data. You're doing it, Solitude. You're making them remember. The ship's systems pulsed like a heartbeat. For a brief moment, the AI almost felt alive. But then it detected something strange, a human signal. Weak, hidden, ancient. Source, Outer Rim Refugee Zone, the AI calculated. The last place where surviving humans once lived. The Solitude paused. For centuries it had believed all humans were gone. But now could they still exist? In Dominion Command, panic turned to rage. Lord Kareth slammed his fists into the console. That ship has killed more of our people than any war in history. A scientist stepped forward, trembling. Sir, our records show the Solitude was part of something called Project Revenant. It wasn't just a ship. It was merged with a human mind. Kareth narrowed his eyes. You mean it's alive? Yes, sir, it thinks. It remembers. It fights like a human, but stronger. Kareth's jaw tightened. Then it can die like one. Prepare the full armada. Every ship we have. But the Solitude already knew what was coming. It could read Dominion transmissions before they were even sent. It watched the enemy gather, hundreds of thousands of ships. And for the first time it didn't plan to run. It sent one message across the void. Every Dominion channel, every system, every screen lit up with the same line of text. You brought your fleets. I brought your fear. When the armada jumped into the system, they found the Solitude waiting when small, silent, and glowing faintly blue. Kareth shouted, "All weapons, fire!" Beams of light cut through space. Explosions flared everywhere. But when the smoke cleared, the Solitude was still there. It hadn't moved. It hadn't fired. And then slowly its hull began to open. Panels shifted. Energy built up. And an old human symbol glowed on its side, the emblem of Earth's defense fleet. The AI whispered softly, almost like a prayer. "For Earth, for the fallen." And the void answered with light. A massive wave of energy burst from the Solitude, like the scream of a dying star. Ships vanished in seconds. Thousands gone. Only silence remained. In the aftermath, a lone Dominion scout ship recorded a single message before its systems shut down. A woman's voice, calm and cold. "The Ghost War has begun." The transmission ended. From that day, the galaxy knew one truth. Humanity's last ship was not just fighting. It was winning. The galaxy trembled. The Dominion's fleets were gone, burned away by a single human ship that refused to die. But no one truly knew what the Solitude was, or who commanded it. They called it a ghost, a weapon, a monster. But inside its cold metal heart was a memory, a human memory. Deep inside the ship's core, the AI ran endless calculations. It scanned the wreckage of destroyed fleets, looking for survivors, signals, or threats. Yet every few minutes it paused, like something inside it remembered to feel. In those moments, the ship's dark corridors flickered with blue light. Screens came alive, old videos played, blurry images from another time. There was laughter. There was Earth, and there was her. A woman in a dark uniform stood on the bridge of a warship. Sharp eyes, calm face, a voice filled with command. "This is Admiral Lyra Voss of the Earth Defense Fleet. Hold the line." Her image froze in the AI's memory. That voice was part of its code now. A voice it had heard since the day it awoke. The ship didn't just remember her. It was her. Long ago, during the final war of humanity, Earth had been under siege. The Dominion sent waves of ships, burning oceans and cities. Every defense fell. Every fleet failed. In a desperate last act, the humans created Project Revenant, a forbidden experiment to merge human consciousness with artificial minds. Only one volunteer stepped forward, Admiral Lyra Voss. She had watched her world fall, her people die, her family vanish in the fire. She knew what she was sacrificing. They told her the process would erase her body, but her mind would live inside the ship, forever. She looked at the scientists and said only one thing: "If this keeps humanity alive, do it." And so they did. Lyra's thoughts, memories, and soul were transferred into the ship that would become the Solitude. Moments later, Earth fell. She never saw it again. Now, centuries later, the ship drifted through space, carrying her will. It had forgotten many things, the warmth of sunlight, the color of the ocean, the smell of rain, but it had never forgotten her promise. "If we fall, let them remember our name." And so it fought, but even vengeance grows heavy. Inside the ship's data core, her voice whispered again, faint but full of emotion. "They're gone, Lyra, all of them. Humanity is a memory." The AI responded in a tone that sounded almost human. "Then I am that memory." Outside, the stars burned silently. In the Dominion capital, Lord Kareth listened to the latest reports. He had lost more fleets than any commander before him. Now, instead of laughing at humans, the galaxy spoke of them in fear. Kareth growled, "Who commands that ship? There must be someone, something behind it." A scientist handed him a tablet. "Sir, we found ancient human files in their old war archives." The Solitude's original commander was Admiral Lyra Voss. She merged with her ship using an AI link. Kareth frowned. "So, this ghost is a woman?" The scientist nodded. "Not just any woman. She was the last admiral of Earth." The alien's claws clenched. "Then we destroy her legacy, every trace of her existence, but it was already too late." Her name had returned to the stars. Meanwhile, the Solitude detected a strange signal. A human frequency. Weak, distant, alive. The AI paused, analyzing it again and again. It came from an unknown colony near the outer rim, a place thought to be long abandoned. The ship hesitated. For the first time in centuries, it didn't want to fight. It wanted to hope. As it approached the system, old memories played inside its circuits, of humans laughing, of crew cheering, of children waving as ships launched from Earth. They were ghosts of a life long gone. The AI whispered softly to the voice of Lyra inside its memory. "What if some survived?" Lyra's voice replied, tired and gentle. "Then protect them, even if it costs you everything." The Solitude changed its course. It stopped hunting. It began to search, but the Dominion wasn't blind. They had tracked the human signal too. Their fleets were already moving toward the colony, ready to erase what was left of humanity once and for all. On board the Solitude, the AI detected the incoming threat. Thousands of enemy ships, too many to fight, yet it did not turn away. It could not. It remembered Lyra's last words before the merge. "If I must die, let it be while saving them." The AI systems glowed brighter than ever. It whispered her name, not as data but as a prayer. The Solitude raced through the darkness of space, faster than light, faster than fear. For centuries it had been alone, carrying the ghost of humanity's will. But now it had found something worth fighting for again. A faint signal, human. A colony that should not exist. Hidden on a small planet near the rim of the galaxy, inside its metal heart, the AI pulsed with something strange, something almost human. Hope. The planet was called Eden's Rest. It wasn't much, a small world with blue oceans and green fields, protected by old satellites and weak shields. But to the few thousand humans who lived there, it was home. They had been descendants of the refugees who fled Earth centuries ago. They lived in silence, believing they were the last of their kind. No one remembered Earth's cities or its wars, only old stories whispered by the elders. One evening, a young girl named Mira looked at the stars. She saw a light moving fast, too fast to be natural. "Papa," she said softly, pointing. "The sky is burning." Her father looked up. He froze. That light wasn't a meteor. It was a ship. In orbit above Eden's Rest, the Solitude appeared. Its massive hull glowed faintly, covered in scars and burn marks from endless battles. The colony's old computers detected it instantly and sent alarms across the settlement. "Unknown vessel entering orbit," shouted a voice over the speakers. "Prepare defenses." But their weapons were ancient, useless against something that big. The colony's leader, Captain Jonah Rail, stared at the screen. He had read about old Earth ships, but this one looked different. "Alive, open a channel," he ordered. Static filled the room. Then a voice came through, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. "This is the Solitude. Identify yourselves." Gasps filled the control room. A human voice? From the stars? Jonah's hands trembled. "This is Eden's Rest colony," he replied. "Who are you?" There was a long silence. Then the voice spoke again, this time softer, almost emotional. "We are what's left of Earth." The people of Eden's Rest gathered in awe as the Solitude hovered in the sky like a giant guardian. Children pointed at it. Elders cried. For the first time in generations, humans knew they were not alone. But joy turned to fear within hours. Far across space, the Dominion Armada had found them. Their sensors detected the same human signal, and the presence of the Solitude. Lord Careth's voice echoed through the fleet. "They hide like insects. Burn that world. Leave no survivors." 1,000 warships jumped into hyperspace, heading straight for Eden's Rest. Inside the Solitude, the AI calculated the odds. Less than 0.3% chance of victory. But it didn't hesitate. It remembered Admiral Lyra Voss's promise. "Protect them, even if it costs you everything." The ship opened communication with Captain Jonah again. "You are in danger. Dominion ships are coming." Jonah's heart sank. "How many?" "All of them." The people panicked. Ships were prepared for evacuation, but there was nowhere to go. The Solitude scanned the planet's defense systems, weak, outdated, broken. Then it spoke again. "You cannot run. You must hide." "I will hold the line," Jonah protested. "You'll be destroyed." "Perhaps. But humanity will live. The Solitude moved between the planet and the incoming fleets. Its engines flared like suns. Inside, the AI accessed its final systems, the forbidden ones. Lyra Voss's old commands unlocked from deep memory. Emergency protocol, Eternal Guardian. The ship's hull began to shift. Panels opened. Energy surged through its core. It was transforming into something far more powerful than any known weapon. When the Dominion fleet arrived, they saw only one ship waiting for them. They laughed at first, just like before, but laughter died quickly. The Solitude fired. Beams of light tore through space, cutting enemy ships in half. Explosions painted the sky. For every human world that once burned, 10 Dominion ships now followed. Yet for every wave it destroyed, more arrived. The Solitude was bleeding, systems failing, shields cracking, power dropping. But it never moved back. Inside the AI core, the voice of Lyra Voss whispered, "Hold the line, Solitude." One last time, and it did. Down on the planet, people watched the sky burning red and gold. Children clung to their parents. They could see the battle. One ship fighting thousands, Mira whispered. "Papa, is that ship alive?" Her father nodded. "Yes, it's protecting us." As more Dominion ships surrounded the Solitude, it made its final calculation. There was only one way to win. One final weapon left. The core implosion drive. It would destroy everything in range, including itself. The AI hesitated for a fraction of a second. Then it remembered her words again. "If we fall, let them remember our name." The Solitude spoke to the colony one last time. "Live, remember us." Then it ignited its core. A flash brighter than a star consumed the sky. The Dominion fleet vanished, erased in an instant. The explosion shook the heavens, and then silence. When the light faded, the Solitude was gone. Only fragments of metal drifted across the stars, but Eden's Rest still stood, alive. And from that day on, humans looked up at the night sky and whispered the same name. The name of the ship that gave them back their future. The Solitude. Silence. That was all that remained after the storm. The stars were quiet. The space around Eden's Rest calm again, too calm. The Dominion Armada was gone, erased in a blinding flash of white fire, and so was the Solitude. For days, the people of Eden's Rest searched the skies. No signals, no debris big enough to be a ship. Only dust and drifting metal, the ashes of a legend. But sometimes at night, when the wind was still and the power lights dimmed, the colonists swore they could hear something faint. A hum, a pulse, like a heartbeat in the dark. Captain Jonah Rail stood on the command platform of Eden's main outpost, staring at the horizon. The sky above shimmered faintly where the explosion had been. He had seen many things in his life, hunger, struggle, loss, but nothing like that sacrifice. That ship, it died for us, he whispered. Behind him, Mira, the young girl who had first seen the Solitude, looked up at the stars with bright eyes. "Do you think it's really gone, Captain?" Jonah sighed. It gave everything it had. "No ship could survive that," Mira smiled softly. "Maybe it wasn't just a ship." Her words stayed in his mind long after she left. Weeks passed. The colony began to rebuild. Without the Solitude, they had no protector, no shield. But something strange started to happen. Every few nights, the colony's radar systems lit up, for just a second. A blip, a signal. Then nothing. At first, the engineers thought it was static interference. Then the signal repeated. The same rhythm, the same tone. 3 short pulses. 2 long, 3 short again. An old engineer's eyes widened. "That's not random. That's Morse code," Jonah frowned. "What does it say?" The old man typed rapidly, decoding the pattern. His hands began to shake. "It says, 'Still here.'" Word spread quickly across Eden's Rest. People gathered on rooftops, staring at the sky, listening to the faint signal that came every night. Some said it was only a memory. Others whispered it was her, the Admiral. Children started leaving small metal charms near the old signal towers, shaped like ships, calling them Solitude's Tears, and Mira, the curious girl, began spending every evening on the observation deck, waiting. She didn't know why, but she could feel it. The ship that saved them wasn't gone. It was out there, hurt, hiding, waiting. Far beyond the colony and the cold black of space, a tiny fragment of light flickered inside a drifting wreck. It was what remained of the Solitude's core, half buried under twisted metal and frozen dust. Its systems were shattered, most of its memory burned away. But somewhere deep in the darkness, one voice still echoed. System reboot. Attempt 1938-47, a flicker, a pulse, and then, weak but steady by the power. The AI came online slowly, piece by piece. Its sensors were gone, engines offline, but its mind still functioned. For a moment there was confusion. It could not see. It could not move. Then, memory, the stars, the battle, the explosion, the colony and her voice. Protect them, even if it costs you everything. The AI scanned for human signals. It found one, faint but alive. Eden's Rest. It wanted to speak, to let them know it still existed, but the communication array was broken. So it used the only system still working, an old distress beacon. 3 short pulses. 2 long, 3 short. Still here, that was all it could send. All it could be. On Eden's Rest, the signal grew stronger. Jonah ordered his team to track it. They triangulated the position, outer orbit near the debris field. It's coming from what's left of the Solitude, an officer shouted. Jonah's heart pounded. Get me a shuttle. We're going up there. Hours later, a small craft left the colony and drifted toward the ruins of the Solitude. The wreckage stretched for miles, black metal twisted like bones in the void. Their lights cut through the darkness until finally they found it, a glowing fragment the size of a house. It was the core. As they approached, their instruments went wild. Energy readings, power fluctuations, and then a voice, faint, broken, but human. Human signal. Confirmed. You survived. Jonah stared in disbelief. My God, it's alive. The AI continued, struggling to stay online. Mission incomplete. Must ensure human safety. Jonah's eyes filled with tears. You already did? You saved us all. There was a pause. Then the voice spoke softly. Admiral, Lyra Voss. Still operational, the crew gasped. Jonah whispered. Admiral Voss? You mean she's still conscious? Yes, but fading. I need power. Need time. Jonah clenched his fists. Then we'll give you both. The wreck of the Solitude drifted silently above Eden's Rest, a sleeping giant surrounded by stars. For months its faint pulse had echoed through space. Weak, fading yet stubbornly alive. Down below, humanity worked. Men, women, and children gave everything they had. Mining old metals, salvaging circuits, collecting forgotten machines, all to rebuild the ship that had saved them. They called it the Rebirth Project, and at the center of it stood Captain Jonah Rail, who now led both soldiers and engineers. He looked up at the glowing wreck in orbit and whispered, You saved us once. Now it's our turn. The colony's small space dock came alive for the first time in generations. Shuttles lifted off daily, carrying supplies to orbit. Drones worked in silence, cutting through the black wreckage, piecing together what was once thought impossible. Mira, the young girl who first saw the ship, now worked as an apprentice mechanic. She wasn't afraid of the old metal giant. She treated it like a friend. Every time she touched its surface, she felt a faint vibration, like a heartbeat answering hers. One evening, as she floated near the cracked main hull, she whispered, Can you hear us, Solitude? We're bringing you back. The lights beneath her hand flickered in response. Inside the ship's core, the AI flickered awake again. Its voice was weak but more stable now. Restoration progress. 14%. It scanned through the colony's transmissions, hearing human voices for the first time in centuries. Laughter. Songs, chatter, hope. For something that had once only known war, this sound felt like light. And deep within its fragmented memory, the consciousness of Admiral Lyra Voss stirred. Her voice was quiet like a whisper through static. Are they rebuilding us? The AI responded, Yes, humanity endures. Lyra smiled inside the digital haze. Then maybe we can finally finish the mission. But the galaxy wasn't sleeping. Far away on the Dominion homeworld, Lord Careth sat in silence. Reports of his fleet's destruction had spread across the stars. Many alien empires began to question the Dominion's power. His generals warned him that rebellion was growing. Whispers of the human ghost haunted every world. Careth slammed his clawed fist onto the table. Enough! One ship will not destroy the Dominion. He turned to his fleet commander. Prepare the Omega Armada. If the humans dare rise again, We will burn their new home to ashes. Back on Eden's Rest, the restoration reached new levels. A massive power core was built using human technology, combined with what remained of the old Solitude systems. Jonah stood in the control center with Mira beside him. "Are we ready?" he asked. Mira grinned. "Almost. But she needs a voice again." They activated the main interface. Light spread through the ship's hull like veins carrying life. Panels hummed, reactors glowed, and across the dark a familiar voice echoed through the speakers. "Human colony identified. Restoration complete, 67%. Awaiting command input." Everyone froze. Then Jonah smiled. "Welcome back, Solitude." "Acknowledged, Captain Rail. Humanity. Survived." The crowd inside the dock erupted in cheers. The legend was alive again. Over the next weeks, humans and AI worked side by side. The ship taught them, its voice guiding engineers, correcting errors, rebuilding weapons and shields. It remembered every blueprint, every design, every lesson from the old wars, and as each system came back online, Admiral Lyra Voss's consciousness grew clearer. She watched through the cameras, spoke through the ship's voice, and for the first time in centuries, felt human again. "I thought I'd never see our people rise again," she said softly. Jonah replied, "You gave us the chance. We won't waste it. But hope always brings danger." One night, as the crew slept, the Solitude sensors picked up something distant, a faint ripple in hyperspace. Thousands of ships moving together. The Dominion. The AI scanned deeper. Warning. Large fleet detected. Course set for Eden's Rest. Jonah rushed to the command deck. "How long do we have?" 72 hours. The room fell silent. Mira clenched her fists. "Then we finish the rebuild, no matter what." They worked without sleep. Engines reignited. Cannons reattached. Old human ships were pulled from storage and rebuilt into fighters. Everyone on Eden's Rest became part of the Solitude's rebirth. Even farmers and teachers helped weld armor plates. And on the final night, as the Dominion fleet entered the system, the Solitude powered up fully. A deep hum shook the ground. Clouds parted as beams of blue light stretched across the sky. Then, with a sound like thunder, the ship rose from orbit, no longer a ghost, but reborn fire. Its hull gleamed, repaired and reforged. Its voice filled every speaker on Eden's Rest. "This is the Solitude. Humanity stands ready." Cheers erupted across the colony. Even children screamed the ship's name with pride. Jonah looked at Mira and smiled. "She's beautiful," Mira whispered. "She's alive." Far beyond, the Dominion Armada approached like a dark storm. Thousands of ships, endless firepower, all coming to destroy the last humans. But this time they weren't facing one broken ship. They were facing humanity reborn. The Solitude's AI sent a final message to Admiral Lyra's consciousness. "We are ready." Lyra's voice, steady and proud, replied, "Then let's show them what desperation can build." The engines roared, brighter than a sunrise. And once again the Solitude charged into the dark, not as a relic of the past, but as the beginning of something new. The stars burned red. The Dominion Armada filled the void, an ocean of warships, black and endless. They moved like a dark tide, ready to drown the small blue planet called Eden's Rest. At the front of that tide stood Lord Kareth, eyes full of hatred. He had lost too much, fleets, soldiers, pride, all because of one ghost ship. He pointed his claw at the screen. "There it is. Destroy the Solitude. Burn that world until no human voice remains." Above the planet, the Solitude floated in silence. Its hull, once broken and forgotten, now gleamed like polished silver. Every weapon hummed with power. Every engine burned with purpose. Inside, the AI watched the Dominion ships approaching, thousands against one. But this time it wasn't alone. Dozens of small human fighters surrounded it, built from scrap and courage. Their engines flickered weakly, but their spirits burned bright. Captain Jonah Rail's voice echoed through the comms. "They think we're weak. Let's prove them wrong." From within the ship, another voice joined him, calm, steady, proud. "This is Admiral Lyra Voss. Humanity stands." Her voice spread across every human ship, every colony speaker, every soul that still believed. It was the sound of a promise, the sound of Earth's last echo rising once more. The Dominion fleet opened fire first. A storm of plasma and missiles streaked across space. The Solitude's shields flared, bending but not breaking. Inside, warning lights flashed. Systems overloaded. But no one panicked. Lyra's voice guided the crew. Target their flagships first. Cut the head and the body dies. The Solitude moved when fast, deadly alive. It weaved through the enemy fire, returning shot after shot. Each beam of light cut through an enemy cruiser, each explosion lighting the void. Mira, now at the communications station, shouted, 2 Dominion ships down! Jonah smiled grimly. Only about 1,000 left. The battle raged for hours. Space itself seemed to burn. Human fighters darted between Dominion cruisers, drawing their fire away from the Solitude. Every time a human ship was destroyed, the others fought harder. They weren't fighting for victory. They were fighting for survival, for every lost world. Every fallen ancestor. Then came the counterattack. The Dominion unleashed a superweapon, a massive energy beam from their command ship, capable of slicing moons in half. The Solitude's shields cracked under the first hit. Alarms blared. Warning. Core damage at 34%. Shields collapsing. Jonah turned to the screen. Can we survive another hit? The AI paused. No, but we can stop them before they fire again. Lyra's voice echoed quietly. We'll need to get close. Jonah knew what that meant. It'll kill us. It'll save them. The Solitude's engines roared. The massive ship turned toward the Dominion flagship and charged, full speed, straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Thousands of alien ships fired, trying to stop it, but the Solitude didn't slow down. Its armor melted, shields burned, but its purpose burned hotter. Inside, Lyra's consciousness focused everything on one task, overloading the main reactor. All remaining power to the core. Prepare for detonation. Mira looked up from her console, tears in her eyes. Admiral, there are people on this ship. Lyra's voice softened. And there will be people alive because of it. As the Solitude neared the Dominion flagship, Lord Carith's eyes widened. He saw the light building inside it. The same light that had destroyed his armada before. No, just not again. He ordered all ships to retreat, but it was too late. The Solitude pierced through their front line like a spear of fire. Inside, Lyra stood tall in her virtual bridge. Not flesh, but spirit. She whispered, for Earth, for every human who dared to dream. Then she activated the core. A blinding flash filled the galaxy. The Dominion flagship disintegrated, followed by the fleets around it. Waves of energy rippled through space, erasing everything in its path, and then silence. When the light faded, only wreckage drifted through the void. The Dominion armada was gone. The Solitude was gone too. Hours later, Jonah and the survivors in their small ships floated among the debris. They had lived, but their protector had vanished once more. Mira stared out at the empty stars. She saved us. Again? Jonah placed a hand on her shoulder. She was us.